Oh, good scene. Good picture. Oh.
My friends, I do hope you enjoyed the break. Yes?
Yes.
Lovely. Okay, well, where were we? Oh, just to recap, in our story, the two quasi-lovebirds were meeting together, at which point our dear friend said,
I warn you, something terrible will happen.
well, immediately after that,
Well, you know what? I should have stayed married to Charles. He left, and I'm going to go find him.
So, Miss Marple, thank you for meeting me for tea. I so appreciate your presence.
Gordon, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes. I'm afraid I might have got myself in a sticky wicket.
We don't want you to get your wicked sticky.
You've been like an aunt to me, and I know that when these terrible crimes happen, that you've oft had an opportunity to lend the police some assistance.
Oh,
And I'm rather afraid to go to the police myself.
oh dear.
Yes. You see, I was at the Hubbard household the night that old Mother Hubbard was murdered. Something I haven't told a soul since the war. And I was secreted in a French revolutionary clandestine Nazi hideout. Because France was under Nazi...
Yes,
you know,
of course,
yes. But old Mother Hubbard was our secret contact. She didn't know that her father was German, so she had such perfect German that they placed her there in front of us. And you see, we had a relationship that we've carried on for years after the war. I would go over and we'd talk about our top secret dealings, as it were, since we couldn't talk to the normal folk about it. All the torture and murder and pipe bombs and bloodshed. Oh, the good old days. But I digress. You see, she entrusted me with this revised will. And I just had it notarized by her. And I heard a loud crash. And when I turned to look around, I saw her body hit the floor, and that was it. And I just scooted right out the back door and ran down the lane. And I've been hiding in my house ever since with this notarized will on it. I'm afraid I broke the seal and read.
And?
Well, she divested both of her children of all of their holdings.
Oh, dear.
Gave them a small amount just to keep the household running, but the large holdings based on their tin industry is gone. It's in the hands of some orphans.
Oh, do you... So her children did not know this?
No, I was the first.
Oh. Well,
I assume not. I mean, I don't have much of a relationship with them. They seem terrible. Old James and all.
And you only heard the body fall? You did not see anyone?
No, I'm sorry. Jane, I know this sounds bad. I'm sure as I ran down the lane, I felt some eyes on the back of my head. And as I hid behind a tree, I saw Shirley looking down my way. I'm sure she saw me there, and it does look awfully incriminating, I must admit.
It does look incriminating. Well, in fact, if she expected to get the inheritance, well, she might have killed both her mother and her brother. Of course, if she suspected her brother was getting the inheritance, well, she might have killed him anyway so that it could come to her.
Or maybe it's somebody from the war, come back to seek their revenge. Some hidden Nazi cell extracting their revenge upon the Hubbards. Till all of St. Mary Mead's cupboards are bare of Hubbards.
My dear Gordon, you've always had a very crafty imagination, but no, I don't think it's that.
Yeah.
But this is quite a pickle. Well, I shall have to visit the detective inspector. You know he's my godson.
I do know, and I feel so much better with you on the case, for these things tend to get resolved quite neatly when your attention has been turned to them.
Oh, yes, dear. Don't you worry any more. I shall take care of it.
Should you take this will?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. Oh, it's so odd to handle evidence like this, but thank you for entrusting me with it.
Yes, there's nobody better to entrust it with.
And so I made my way over to the detective inspector's office.
Jane, please, take a seat.
Oh, Craddock, I come bearing gifts. Well, you should know, this is the will of old Mother Hubbard, and I'm afraid it is not so positive.
Oh dear.
Yes, you see?
I'm a quick reader.
Yes.
Well, that is very good for all those orphans, but sad for Shirley.
Indeed. But I don't know. I've known Shirley, and, well, she's a crafty little thing. She's always had a tendency to toy with men. She never could quite make it work with any one of them. I blame it on her webbed feet. Yes. Yes, I think it actually affected her heart. But in any case, but is she a murderer? I'm just not sure.
Jane, this is such a troubling case, and that is why I'm so thankful that you have agreed to come and investigate it. I know you are not a police officer yourself, but you have the finest mind in all of St. Mary Mead, nay, England itself, nay, the world!
You flatter an old lady.
And well, these past 15 years that I have been detecting, inspecting, and everything a detective inspector does, I've always been able to count on you to come in and offer your advice. Why, I recall when I was just a little boy, we would take those walks through the park, and you would tell me your detective stories, and why, I thought, one day I wish to be just like my godmother Jane.
And I would test you. Do you remember? I would tell you the story, I would lay out all the evidence, I made it as obvious as possible who the culprit was, and you still never guessed who it was. Do you remember that?
I recall, yes. But now I assure you, after 15 years, after so much studying, after working my way through the ranks,
You are top-notch.
I'm top-notch. Thank you so much, Jane.
Detective Inspector, we shall both work on this case in tandem. You have your ways and I have my little old lady ways.
Yes, well, I attempted at once to use your little old lady ways, but they did not work for me for some reason.
Dear, dear, I shall leave you now. Oh,
Inspector.
Oh, gooseberry! Right in here.
it's so lovely to see you again.
Pleasure is mine. Miss Marple,
Yes.
I have some new evidence that I found on Mr. James's body. You see, in his right left coat pocket, on the bottom left right, there was a letter addressed to Mr. Robert. Yes, and yes, and upon reading the letter, it is a letter of confession. It says here that, my dear Robert, I must confess to you that I have feelings for you, and I have had feelings for you for a very long time. I have confessed my feelings for you to my sister, Shirley. She did not take this news well, but nonetheless, here we are. Yours, James.
Well, that further incriminates Shirley.
Unless
Oh.
Robert might have known this as well. Robert might have been uncomfortable with this information.
Well, he was in love with Shirley, was he not?
He was. But you know, this is England. Things of that nature are illegal. You might have been offended. I tell you what, Detective Inspector, why don't we both visit Robert together?
Oh, we can do a bit of cat and mouse.
Yes.
Using our old 1-2 strategy.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Constable.
And Gooseberry, while you're at it, please take this will and put it somewhere in evidence.
Yes, of course.
It's very long-willed. Well, I shall say that this is Robert's living room, and he should be around in a few minutes again.
Inspector. Miss Marple, I believe.
Yes, Robert.
Suppose Tammy let you in?
Yes, please, come. Take a seat right over here.
I must say it's jarring to come into one's own home and to find a police inspector and a neighbor in his home without having achieved his permission first. Might I ask if this has something to do with the murders that have been plaguing our town?
Yes, indeed it is. I was quite upset about the news and I just wanted to come pay a visit. You see, I am visiting all of the neighbors in the town to make sure everyone is okay.
Well, I suppose I thank you then. Well, yes, do make yourself comfortable. Tea if you like it. I assure you, I'm fine. A little shaken, of course. I'm sure you understand that, but largely fine. Very, very nice. I'm fine, very, very fine.
Robert,
Largely all right, then.
are you attracted to men?
Well, whatever kind of question is that?
I'm sorry, it pertains to our investigation.
Does it, then? How so?
Well, and please feel free to divulge this information because Miss Marple and myself, are quite all right with the fact, despite the laws of this country.
Oh yes, very progressive we are.
We uncovered a love letter from, well, James, to you.
Love letter? Why, that's ridiculous. What are you talking about?
Oh, come now. Robert. It hurts, does it not?
Well, all right, I suppose you know already. That letter that he wrote to me was hardly the first time that he had expressed feelings for me. And hardly the first time that I had had to rebuff him.
You rebuffed each other.
You make it sound dirty. All right!
I'm sorry.
James and I were lovers.
I understand that James enjoyed bathing amongst other people. It came to my mind, not that it pertains to the case particularly, but whenever such an encounter occurred between the two.
Yes, James and I were bathing partners. But it was more than that. James and I were in love. Do you understand what I'm telling you, Inspector? Miss Marple, surely you can understand the pain of growing up in love in a society that not only frowns upon that love, but casts one in jail for expressing it.
Well, not personally myself, but yes, theoretically I do understand.
James and I, we spent many years in a clandestine relationship. While Margaret knew that something was coming between us, I made her believe that I was flirting with other women, see, when all the time it was James. I made her think that when she caught me with that twinkle in my eye and asked me who I was thinking of, I made her think it was any woman in the town rather than give her the slightest hint of suspicion that I harbored a love for him. But at last, he wanted to bring it all out in the open. He wanted to come public with it, and I simply couldn't allow that, you understand?
Of course.
The fortune, the reputation. And so I broke it off with him. I told him never to talk to me again. But then the letters began, letter after letter of him confessing and pouring out his love for me. How I cried as I burned each letter in the fire.
And you could not let the news come out?
Oh, and therefore I started an affair for real with Shirley. I had never lain with a woman before. Shirley was odd.
And apparently she had webbed feet.
She told me that all women do. But anyway, I recognize what this must look like. I recognize that I'm now a suspect, but you must believe me. I would never kill James. I would never kill James. I loved him.
He was struck by a large amount of wood. Is that something that you would do?
You make it sound dirty.
I'm sorry, sir. That was not my intention. Where were you on the night of his death?
Well, that's just the thing. On the night of his death, I had decided that I was going to accept his proposal. Why, that's the irony of it all. On the night of his death, I had gone into London in order to buy this engagement ring.
Oh, it's lovely.
Thank you. You see, I was going to throw all caution to the wind. I was going to get down on one knee and tell him that I could no longer keep myself from him. And so I provoked a fight with Shirley. Don't you see? I knew from the get-go that Shirley had no real affection for me. All I needed to do was to provoke her a little bit more until she broke it off with me. Then, being free of that, I could go to James and on bended knee beg him to take me back under any conditions he would demand. But when I came looking for him, and I approached his lane, I saw our neighbor, Caroline. She was foraging or so upon her branch. Why, I saw her do the strangest thing. I saw her pick up a large, dead moth from underneath a palm frond which was lying on the ground. And indeed it was. And place it there on the branch. Well, she ran off, and being curious, I went to see exactly what was so compelling about the branch, and there, when I approached it, was James.
Detective Inspector, I believe my time here is done. My dear, I am so sorry for your loss.
Then you believe me?
I believe you loved James. I believe that.
And might I count on the discretion of the police inspector?
Absolutely, Robert.
Oh, Margaret, come right in. Oh dear, we have so much to catch up on. Let's jump right in, shall we?
Well, do make it quick. The Detective Inspector Craddock would like to speak with me.
Yes, so about the detective inspector.
Yes.
Word has it that he told the town that your husband, well, soon-to-be ex-husband Robert, is a homosexual.
What?
Yes, and furthermore, Robert admitted that he had never lain with a woman other than Shirley. Are you meaning to tell me out of 12 years of marriage, you never laid together with him?
Well, no, I didn't.
Well, don't you think that's a bit odd?
Well, I don't think so. Have you seen him?
It would explain the separate bedrooms, yes.
Of course, dear.
Oh, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The reason I called you here today is I've got the most dreadful news.
What is it?
Robert is taking my house away.
No!
Yes.
He can't do this!
He has funded me for the last 12 years and, well, I don't have a job. I don't have a husband. I'm just a lonely, sad woman. myself. I don't know what to do. You must talk to Robert.
Well, I just don't get why he's not the one dead. We wished it.
I am glad you brought that up again. I was thinking. I know we were simply joking. Last time we talked about this.
Well, it's just my happy place to picture him dead and how we were going to do it.
Understandably.
Oh, dear.
So, what if Robert did die? Who happens to be the sole inheritor of his inheritance? Is it you still?
Well, yes, dear.
Oh, well, that's quite convenient, now, isn't it?
But we share everything, you know that. But, oh, quickly, we need to wrap this up. The detective is going to be here any minute. And I just don't know how to deal with this news. My friends, Margaret was overcome with a particular emotion. Can you guess what that was?
Glee. And
Glee! It makes so much sense.
Oh dear, Margaret, are you gone mad?
You see, it just makes sense. Every man that I'm with is homosexual.
Quite a pattern, isn't it?
It's a gift, I know.
Hi, Margaret. I'm sorry I didn't mean to be interrupting the two of you.
Oh, Detective Inspector, come right in. Isn't he handsome? You know, my sister is very eligible now.
Oh, silly girl, he's probably a homosexual.
Do you mind if I stay?
Carolyn, I do need to speak with him in private. We have much to speak about.
Oh, I understand. Well, get back to me because I just don't know what to do about the house.
We'll take care of that later,
I
dear.
don't want to be homeless.
Margaret,
Detective Inspector.
to address your first assertion, I am indeed a homosexual.
Well, of course you are, dear. Look at your clothes. They match.
But it is something that I do not find any shame in being. I hope you understand my attraction to you would... It's because of that and not anything else. And the case, of course.
Oh, silly man. I'm well aware of homosexuals. You see, before I met Robert, I was in the theater.
I see. But never mind that matter. I wish to ask a little bit more about, well, your husband's relations.
Oh, the visual.
The two of you were married, not out of love, but out of money, I understand.
It was convenient, you see. Let me tell you about it. I'm from royalty. But I lost everything. My real name is Lady Marmalade. I was dancing in France. You know where. I was quite good, you see. And everybody comes, mostly homosexuals. And there was Robert. And I think that he loved what I had on because he said he loved the matching shoes and the feather boa and he asked to try it on. And I thought, well, why not? He looks stunning in it. And he twirled about, and of course me, falling in love with a homosexual, it made sense. I fell in love with him instantly. Why didn't I know?